Now, as the Russia-Ukraine war enters its third year, Ukrainian soldiers are still struggling to hold the front lines, facing fresh Russian assaults. Russian forces are continuing to advance forward after taking control of the city of Avdiivka in eastern Donetsk. And all this while the international community grapples to provide any assistance. Now, in the latest, Ukraine's military said that it had destroyed a Russian A-50 surveillance aircraft, and this is the second time in a little more than a month that Ukraine has reported downing the sophisticated plane. Meanwhile, Russian drones attacked Ukraine's Black Sea port of Odessa for the second night running, hitting a residential building, killing one person and injuring three. Now, Kyiv had set up an alternative corridor to ship grain and other products via its Black Sea ports near Odessa. And last year, President Vladimir Putin offered free grain to 6 African countries as part of Moscow's battle against diplomatic isolation. And Zimbabwe became the latest country to receive grain shipment from Russia. Now, on the other hand, US President Joe Biden marked the second anniversary by imposing sanctions on more than 500 targets in response to the death of the Kremlin critic Alexei Navalny and Moscow's ongoing full-scale invasion of Ukraine. Biden said that he will be speaking today with the top U.S. allies about Ukraine.
Remember, the United States pulled together a coalition of more than 50 nations to support Ukraine. We unified and expanded NATO. We can't walk away now. And that's what Putin is betting on. He's betting on we're going to walk away. That's why I'll be speaking to the G7 folks, so some of the heads of the European Union and NATO today. That's why I'm announcing more than 500 new sanctions in response to Putin's brutal war of conquest, in response to Alexei Navalny's death.
The president also repeated his calls on Congress to pass his administration's bill that would provide fresh funding for Kyiv, and the message was echoed by U.S. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer, who's in Ukraine with a delegation. And so far, bill that includes $60 billion in new funding for Ukraine has been blocked by Republican House Speaker Mike Johnson. The European Union, on the other hand, have announced that it is imposing sanctions on several foreign companies over allegations and that they have exported dual-use goods to Russia that could be used in its war against Ukraine. Now, while the United Nations chief has called for peace and justice, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky called for Western countries to accelerate deliveries of promised air defense systems and fighter jets. Zelensky was speaking alongside Danish Prime Minister as Western leaders descended on the country in a show of support for Kyiv. Now, Denmark became the latest NATO member to sign a 10-year agreement on security cooperation with Ukraine. Political leaders in the UK have also reaffirmed their support for Ukraine, and Prime Minister Rishi Sunak said that Britain was prepared to do whatever it takes for as long as it takes to help Ukraine achieve victory. In fact, he insisted that the tyranny will never triumph.
Support between.
Very good to see you. Happy New Year.